When I think of Germans living in Germany during World War II, I make the stereotypical assumption that the majority of them were supporters of Adolf Hitler. I forget, however, that there were indeed Germans who were against the destruction of the Jewish people and who may have suffered as a result of that, as well as from the additional effects of the war within their country, like the bomb raids on Berlin. Such was the imaginary case with my character, Goethe Schulte, in the play Crumbs from the Table of Joy here at FAU. Goethe arrives in New York City in 1950 and marries a Black man whose two children want nothing to do with her after the recent death of their mother. During the first read of the script, Goethe's words led me to believe that she had suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, since childhood, and that the effects of this disorder had been re-triggered as a result of her experiences during the war. Thus, in order to accurately portray Goethe so that I could ultimately work to positively impact the audience, I researched the potential causes, signs and symptoms, and coping strategies of those experiencing PTSD and applied them to Goethe's specific experiences. I also happen to be a speech-language pathologist with a background in neuroscience, so I further studied the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex, all areas of the brain affected by PTSD. Ultimately, all of this research led me to deduce three ways in which understanding an imaginary PTSD survivor's perspective can help the audience to further understand both themselves and the character in a 2-hour stretch of time. The first way is via education. There are specific reasons as to why people suffer from PTSD, and hearing Goethe scream and duck in cover in a subway train after the wheels screech to a halt like the sound of a bomb dropping teaches the audience that one of those reasons is combat exposure. Later, when we hear Goethe's words trail off after speaking about her childhood with her father, the audience is taught that she also most likely experienced physical abuse as a child, which is another cause of PTSD. All of this knowledge teaches the audience about why Goethe is as she is, so that they can then empathize with her. Therefore, the second way is via empathy. As the audience allows themselves to walk in Goethe's shoes, they feel as if they are one with her. They see the signs and symptoms of PTSD in her sudden outbursts of anger, her desperation to communicate with humans she deems safe, and her efforts to stop talking when she is overcome with intrusive thoughts. They see her wringing her hands as a subconscious calming technique to diffuse discomfort and irritability. This wringing action is chosen as a psychological gesture in the Michael Chekhov form of actor training, but it is akin to the havening gestures of today, where light strokes are applied to the upper arms in order to calm the nervous system. Finally, the third way is via endurance. As the audience sees Goethe endure her experiences in New York City and start to heal on stage, feeling more free in her body movements, feeling an increased sense of connection to her stepdaughters, etc., the hope is that the audience ultimately decides that they too can endure their traumatic experiences by incorporating their own coping strategies. In short, we rely on qualitative assessment to assess an audience's social and emotional growth from watching live theater, and trust that the audience leaves understanding themselves and the characters just a little bit more.